Well, we often get people asking us, as a result of these videos, what kind of tools they should have and what they should be using if they're going to be taking up bird carving. And so I thought I'd use this video to share a little bit of information with you on what we do at our workstations that might give you some ideas on different tools that might be useful to you and different techniques, things that we've learned. In our Maple and Bass classroom, we currently have 8 workstations that are fully outfitted. And when people come to take a class from us, it's nice because they don't have to bring any tools with them. They can just show up and all the tools are provided, all the tools and supplies and everything they need. So I'm just going to share what that's all about today. In no particular order, but one of the key things at our workstations, because we work all with power tools, small rotary tools, larger rotary tools, and one of the keystones to that whole thing is the Air 530 dust collector. That's a nice compact little dust collector, takes up only about a square foot on the table. When it's running, it's a pretty quiet machine. You can hear this one running when I turn it on, but it doesn't make a huge amount of noise. We can have 8 of them running in the classroom here, and I can still talk easily above them. People can hear my demonstrations, that kind of thing. So you hear the noise that that one makes. It's variable speed, so when you turn it up all the way, it does make more noise and it moves a lot more air, but we usually use them about halfway, turned up about halfway. The whole goal behind these is to capture the airborne dust. The dust that sits on the table in front of you is not really that important. You're not going to be breathing that dust. You can always vacuum that up later. So I'll turn that off. As far as the micromotor tools that we use, in our workstations, we use the Grand Micromotor, which is a really deluxe kind of a high-end micromotor tool. And there's a variety of reasons why we use them, but they're very, very well made. They stand up really, really well. They come with a 50,000 RPM brushless DC motor that's got all kinds of power. Like this has more power than a big Dremel tool, but it'll run also 50,000 RPM, and even this one's set at 31,000. Oops, I got the wrong handpiece turned on right now. So this is running 31,000 RPM right now. Kind of hear it, but it's not very loud. If we crank it up to 50,000, it's a pretty quiet machine. And lots of power. So that's a great one to get into if you're really wanting to have the best. The Maxima 40, which is this little guy here, very similar in terms of the way it operates. It has a 40,000 RPM DC motor. It's not brushless, but it's still tons of torque, forward and reverse, excellent bit concentricity on all these hand pieces. And when this one's running, it'll run up to 40,000 RPM. And it just we'll turn the hand piece on over here to 40,000 so you can hear what it sounds like. I don't have power to this Maxima 40 right now, but turn that at 40,000 so you can hear it. It's a little louder, but still not very loud. The cutters make more noise chattering into the wood than the motor makes. The motors are pretty quiet, and they again have forward and reverse. The only real difference between these two, this is using an analog power supply. You can put the regular 40,000 RPM handpiece in it. It's a great tool for people who are not wanting to spend a lot of money. It's still not a cheap tool, but it's Japanese built, excellent warranty. We've been carrying them for probably close to 30 years. We've been carrying this line of tools, and we've been very, very pleased with them. We do all the warranty work and everything if something does go with them. But there are other brands of micromotor available that are similar, that will perform really well for you. This is a line that we use in our classroom. The bits and cutters is a whole other thing. I'll maybe just have to do a separate video on that because there's a lot of different options there. But each carousel in our classroom has all the bits and cutters that people will need for whatever project we're working on. Then they're also going to be utilizing a wood burning tool, and of course we use razor tip burners in our classroom. These SSDs are kind of like the go-to workhorse in the razor tip line. Dual pen capability. They're bulletproof. They keep going and going and going. They're really a phenomenal tool, and we use those in the classroom primarily. We do have this is a dual burn. We do have a couple of single burners in here, and at one of the workstations we actually have a razor tip SL3, which is a triple burner that has presets and memories for all 3 different channels with presets, the heat settings for each channel, full microprocessor control, way more power range than any other burner that's ever been made. From the low end to the high end, it's just in my opinion, it's probably the best burner Razortip makes today, probably the best burner they've ever made. And we do have one of those in the classroom. We'd probably be using these in the classroom entirely now, but when we built the classroom, we got things going. The SL3 wasn't available, so we went with the SSDs, and they've stood up really, really well. The other tool that we have in the classroom now is the Fordham Flex Shaft tool. Every workstation has a Fordham Flex Shaft, along with a variable speed foot control, which goes down on the floor. And these are used, the foot control is like a gas pedal. You control how fast or slow that cutter goes. For those who aren't familiar with Fordham tools, they use a flexible shaft from a very powerful motor, and the units we carry are the SR model, which has forward and reverse capability. And the power is transmitted by a mechanical cable going from the motor down through this cable into the handpiece, and these handpieces are interchangeable. So Fordham does make quite a number of handpieces, but each one of our workstations has a big handpiece which has a 1/4 inch capability, and then we do have some smaller handpieces, the number 28 handpiece, which will go up to 1/8 inch, and these have interchangeable collets. These are an industrial quality tool that will last you really forever. If something does go wrong, if you need to replace the bearings or you need to do some repairs on the motor, if you break the inner shaft, damage the sheath, any of that kind of stuff, all the parts are available and replaceable. And we're an authorized Fordham service depot in Canada, so we stock a huge range of parts for these. If you ever have any issues with your Fordham, we can get you looked after. We also service them here too, and as with all the tools that we sell. So that's the Fordham Flex Shaft, and I'm just going to another workstation here so we can just do a little bit more detail on some of the other bits and pieces that we include in each of our workstations. Some of the common stuff that you'll probably have laying around the house. Pencils are really important. Pencil sharpener, eraser, those are all really important things. There's a little screwdriver here that we have. If you've got a pen with interchangeable tips, you'll need a screwdriver to tune that up. Also, if you're using sanding drums, like these kind of things, little sanding drums for carving, and we do use those quite a bit in the class, you'll need a screwdriver for managing that sanding drum. Here's our little single burner, the Razortip SK, which this workstation has. We have sanding sticks here, which are nothing really more than just a paint stick that you can get, and we glued 80 grit to one side and 120 to the other side, just using a glue stick. These things are super handy for cleanup and finishing. They're really an important tool. We also have some little popsicle stick or hobby sticks, craft sticks. We've got some little sanding sticks that we've made gluing 320 grit and 220 grit on the two sides, put a little bit of a corner on them. So making your own sanding sticks can be very, very helpful. We've got a selection of just some little stick pins here that you'll see us using in some of our videos for transferring patterns. There's a pencil sharpener. Again, this little Stadler sharpener is a phenomenal little thing, not that expensive, but anything that'll get you a good sharp point on your pen. This is a 3M Scotch-Brite pad, kind of a burgundy medium color. We sell those, but they're available a lot of different home improvement stores, things like that. Most places sell painting supplies will sell those. We have a clear little flexible ruler here. This ruler is really handy because clear, you can see through it when you're marking things on, but it's also flexible, so you can wrap it around your carving. You'll see us using those in the video quite a bit. The other thing now is caliper. Each workstation has a little dial digital caliper, or like a little dial caliper like this. We use metric calipers. I find, if you're 35 millimeters cut in half or 30 millimeters, if you're doing the math, it's easier than working with fractional. But whatever works for you, fractional calipers work just fine. But these are pretty nice. And now getting into the wood burning pens. Each workstation has 2 interchangeable tip wood burning pens that we use to put the feather former tips into when we're doing feather detail. We will use feather formers in a lot of our classes, and we'll be talking about how those work in other videos. This tip here, which is the Razor Tips number 5 MC, which is a curved spear that's sharp, kind of very square on the edge. It's not a sharp tip, and it's meant to be used flat like this. This is what we use for pushing down feather layers, making feather shafts, things like that. Some people call it a shaft maker or a quill maker. It's another term that's used on that. There's other styles of these. There's skew shape types and that, but the ones we use in the classroom are all the spear shape, Razor Tips number 5 MC. And then we have a large skew. This is a sharp tip, kind of razor sharp, used for making fine feather detail. So the 1L is large skew. We have a number 7S, which is a small round skew. This is just a small version of that 1L, but instead of having a point on the end, the number 7s have a bit of a rounded end on them. They're great for getting into concave areas where you have puffy, fluffy feathers like we're going to be doing on our owl. And then there's this number 5S, which is their small spear. They do make smaller ones than this. They make larger ones, but this small spear is really useful for little details. So this selection of pens, if you're doing birds, will probably give you a broad enough selection. You can do almost anything you want with them. It's a great place to start. For cleaning these tips, 2 things. We have a brass brush that is used generally for cleaning the feather formers and for cleaning irregular shaped tips like the shaft maker and things like that. We also have Razor Tip makes this really nice little tip cleaner. It's a scraping tool that's used for sharpening and cleaning all of the skew type tips, like this large skew here. You just run it through the little V blade to lift off any carbon. It won't wear out your tip. Tip care, that kind of thing is something in another video that we'll put together at some point. And then finally, in each workstation, just a little toothbrush from dollar store. Quite often you use that for cleaning up little bits of burning when you're burning feathers onto your bird before you seal it, and kind of go from there. So that's our kind of broad view of what we have at each of the workstations. Hopefully that helps you figure out what you're going to put into your selection. We will be talking more about bits and cutters for your Fordham and for your micromotor tool on another video. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having you follow us, subscribe to our channel, and we really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.